Celebration month. This is the last video before the week of Gus. The week of Gus. Welcome back to Ever Disney Movie Ever. My name is Jess and I'm watching Ever Disney Movie Ever. Today I'm going to be talking about Solo, a Star Wars Story. Solo, a Star Wars Story is a 2018 theatrical release about how Han Solo became Han Solo. It's directed by Ron Howard, cinematography by Bradford Young, editing by Pietro Scalia, music by John Powell, and it's written by Lawrence and Jonathan Kasdan. The film stars Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo, Joonas, Suotamo as Chewbacca, Woody Harrelson as Beckett, Emilia Clarke as Kira, and Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian. There had been many attempts at a young Han Solo story. They even had when episode 3 was being made, there was even supposedly going to be a sequence where young Han came and fought, and then they entertained like potentially making a show with the young Han Solo. And then before the Disney purchase and takeover, they had been working on something with a young Han Solo. And when Disney bought them, they told them to continue. Soon after that, it just became, the directors were on, the writers were on, and they casted Emilia Clarke, Woody Harrelson, and Glover. They were struggling on Han Solo. They saw over 3,000 people for the role. Filming began January 30th, 2017. Lord and Miller, the original directors of the film, started having issues during the shoot because the writers and some others thought they were leaning way too heavily into the comedy aspect of the film. They were allowing a lot of improv and way too much what Disney and everyone thought was just not matching with their shooting style, so they ended up leaving and Ron Howard took over. Once Ron Howard took over, George Lucas is an old friend of Ron Howard, so he did stop by the set and say hello. Filming finished October 17th, 2017, and Howard ended up redoing 70% of the movie in reshoots. They wrapped the reshoots in April of 2018. Industrial Light and Magic, High Bride, and Blind Limited worked on the VFX. They went through 60 versions of the Falcon until they were satisfied. It had a $200 and $300 million budget, made $393 million box office, which is very bad. Has a 69% Rotten Tomatoes consensus. A flawed yet fun and fast-paced space adventure, Solo, a Star Wars Story should satisfy newcomers of the saga, as well as longtime fans who check their expectations at the theater door. There was a novelization done, there was a comic partnership with Marvel. Sequels were a possibility depending on how it performed because actors signed more than one film contract. A lot of people wanted a sequel, but it didn't perform well, so it was kind of up in the air. There is supposedly still a Lando show in works for Disney+. And in 2022, Ron Howard confirmed that there would be no Solo 2. The cinematography is stunning. There is some gorgeous lighting in this. They have a lot of fun with some stylized shots. I really loved it. I thought it looked really fantastic, especially the beginning where there's the whole purple section and yellow section. It was just really fun to have the super stylized colored areas. You don't get that a lot anymore, so it was really nice to see. The first half of this is boring and kind of slow. The second half of this is way stronger. I actually ended up watching this in 2 parts because I had to go to sleep because I was working in the morning. And so I literally, at the halfway point, right when they land on the planet to get the unrefined chemical, whatever it's called, coaxium, the unrefined coaxium they needed, right when they landed on that planet is where I stopped and then where I restarted. So the first half of this is kind of slow, kind of jumbled, kind of stupid, not gonna lie, while the second half is way more fun. I really feel like the movie should have frickin' started at that part. The first half is all about how Han Solo gets off of a planet called Corellia that he's basically a slave person on, I get, but not, and how they're trying to get their way off, him and this girl he's in love with, Kira, and how they're trying to get their way off the planet, and at the thing they get separated and he's like, I'll come back for you once I'm a pilot, and she says go, blah blah blah. And so it's all about then he's in the Imperial Army, and then he's trying to get in with these goons just so you make enough money to buy a plane to then go and save Kira, and it's all like the beginning of it. It's got a lot of those moments where it's like, what's your name? Han. Last name? What's that? It's like, you know, where you come from. Like, you're, you know, blah, blah, blah. I don't have anyone. I come from nowhere. Solo. Like, it's stupid. And then, like, he meets Chewbacca, and it's, what's your name? Chewbacca? That's too long. I'm gonna have to come up with a nickname. Instead of just being like, okay, hey, cool. And then, like, later he starts calling him Chewie, because he doesn't want to say Chewbacca. It's stupid that he has to, like, say that he's gonna give him a nickname. I don't know. It's, like... And then just the first half doesn't feel super Star Wars-y. It feels very, like, not. Like, you're just in the Star Wars universe, which I'm not necessarily mad about, because, like, Rogue One is very much like it's a heist, kind of, but in the Star Wars universe, where, like, you could say, like, this is a similar thing where it's, like, just a story that's taking place in the Star Wars universe, which can sometimes be, like, really good, but I don't know. There's just something about this. It's supposed to be, like, Han Solo. I don't know. It felt very, very predictable. And then, on the flip side, it also was, like, kind of annoyingly predictable to the point of, like, I wish they had gone a different way. Like, the droid liberation was beautiful. L3 dying was super sad. That was heartbreaking. Love you, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Beckett betraying them. Han Solo seeing that coming. And Kira, like... Basically, in this movie, it is hinted that Kira has done things to get off Corellia that, like, Han Solo would never imagine she could do or whatever. So through the whole movie, it's basically hinting that Kira, like, could be really bad or whatever. And so you're kind of just expecting her to, like, turn on Han at some point, even though you can tell she does care about him. And, you know, it's this whole thing, you're like, blah, blah, blah. You're expecting, like, you know, she could turn on him, but then also, like, she could be good, blah, blah, blah. And then she ends up killing the bad guy. And you're like, oh, okay, so they're gonna go this predictable route. But then they decide to go the route of, like, she's gonna take over the bad guy's role that she just killed and leave Han. Which, like, obviously throughout the movie, you know, they cannot stay together because then he obviously ends up with Leia. So, like, you know this girl has to go somewhere. I thought she was gonna die. I thought she was gonna sacrifice herself and it'd be, like, one of those things. Or she was just gonna be like, listen, this was great, let's go our separate ways, because I want this, or whatever. But, like, she goes full, like, I don't know. It just felt like, okay, so you did, like, the stupid, obvious thing that you were hinting at this whole movie? That's kind of dumb. It just felt very, like, okay, cool. Like, that's stupid. But otherwise, like, it's funny. It's got a lot of funny moments. It's, you know, Alden has great charisma. He's got that going for him. You know, there's some really fun parts, but overall, the second half is way stronger than the first half. So the second half, it was like boom, 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 boom. You're doing the Kessel Run. There's a lot going on. Like, it's all really fun. And the first half just bogs it down. And then the part where Han shoots Beckett, and Beckett says, that was a good move, kid. I would have killed you. I thought that was really realistic and really well done. I thought it was great that Han Solo gave the coaxium to the people that needed it. You know, I just feel like... it's middle of the road. I don't think it's, you know, excellent. But it was entertaining. My favorite part is probably Han and Chewie, just because that's fun. And, like, you could see that they were, like, actually cared about each other and were becoming, like, actual friends instead of all these, like, backstabbing people. I really liked that. I kind of was down with that. I do think my least favorite part is probably going to be Kira staying evil and working for Darth Maul. I just think that was weird. Like, I get it, but they tried to make it this big, like, ooh, look, she's becoming evil. When, like, that's what they were hinting at the whole movie. So it's like, okay, so she did what you were hinting at the whole time? Woohoo! Where, like, I think if she died or had gone another direction, that could have been really cool, but... It's fine. Recommend? I don't know. I feel like this is really unnecessary. I don't think you need this movie. You know, I don't think I'll ever be watching it again, if I'm being so honest. I don't think it's really necessary. I don't, it's fine. Anything else? I mean, I think Alden is a good actor. I just don't know if there's someone that could have pulled this off more. I don't really feel like I think there were pieces that he captured, like the Han Solo swagger and like character, and then there were pieces where I was like, I'm not so sure. But like at the same time, do you want someone who's going to be doing an impression of Harrison Ford? I don't think you do. So I don't know. It was fine. That's all I have. My final rating's going to be 7, which I would encourage you to look at the breakdown because there are a couple 8s bringing it up. 7, I feel like I have to do coaxium or falcons. Let's do falcons. 7 falcons out of 10. Our total movie count is... Parent death toll. There's no real mention of Han Solo's parents. He just says he has nobody. He doesn't say his parents died when he was young or anything like that. I think at one point he does mention that his dad was a pilot, but he doesn't say his dad died. So there's no real clarification there. So I'm gonna have to go no parent deaths and no cry counts. It's all the same. If you want to keep up with the movie watching win, follow me on all socials and check out my website, please. It's really cool. You can check it all out over there. Join Patreon. Got a tier starting at just $1. You get every video a week early. Tiers above that, daily trivia, monthly postcards, bonus content, etc. I got a lot of fun bonus stuff coming out this month, so go check it out. And then buy merch. New merch is... I'm sorry if you're sick of this shirt, but get over it. I'm excited and I love it. So yeah, get used to it because you're about to see it for the entire week of guests. Yeah. Until next time, come like, subscribe, I'm not charge you real life viewers to you, and don't be probably Darth Maul about it. Or Beckett. He ended up kind of being a turd. Tomorrow. Is it tomorrow, actually? No. Okay. The week of guests begins soon. The week of guests. Does the week of guests start on a Friday? When does it begin? It does. The week of guests begins on a Friday.